Pump, pump. Welcome everyone to this week's Tim Talks. I am fired up about my guest, who a lot of you know and have heard of already, but a little bit of Nostradamus, as I am so happy, if you heard the pre-talk yesterday, to welcome Eric Miltsch, who is the co-founder and director of marketing for Dealer Teamwork. Eric, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Tim, good to see you. Thanks for having me on again.
Good to see you, brother. So we all like these types of things. We all like, and everybody's now making, they're hedging their bets on the Super Bowl. They're making predictions. But the fun part of this, and based on we're still in January, and you had no idea about COVID last year. You had no idea about certain things. But first of all, I just want to, what we want to talk about today, since your track record is so good, quite frankly, we want to talk about the predictions that you made, and you send out kind of a State of the Union address per se, and every year at the beginning of the year. And last year you hit a few of those out of the park. So let's start with, just so everybody knows that whether we rename you not Nostradamus or whatever that is, but hopefully all these will make us money. Nice. There's my little sound effect. My little toy. Don't take it away. But, let's talk about what you predicted last year that came to fruition. And then let's look into that Eric crystal ball on what you think our automotive space is where we're going next year.
Yeah, well,
this year, I guess, 2021.
First off, you're giving me way too much credit. I'm lobbing out softballs here. So they're pretty wide-reaching. So think of it like this. If I was off on these, on most of these, I shouldn't be in the business, quite honestly. But we had a lot of fun with this. And like I said, I've been doing this now for several years, many, many years in a row. And, I do a quick little recap. And for everybody watching and everybody that will watch, you'll be able to access this later today, right after the broadcast. So, yeah, let's get right into it. Last year we were talking a lot about marketing automation. I said marketing automation was really going to hit its mark. I'd like to lay claim that I nailed that one. We're seeing a huge boom, obviously, with additional tools coming out, dealer teamwork notwithstanding. So, the adoption rate, and even more so, Tim, the overall understanding and willingness and acceptance towards these tools in terms of being much more operationally efficient. Making sure that we've got the accountability in there, and Sean and I always love to talk about if we have something that we're doing more than 3 times manually, we just got to automate it, if possible, so simple things like that, and apply that to literally everything that you're doing, even on your personal life. I'll tell you a real quick story too, by the way. I have found an amazing life hack for communicating with your spouse.
Okay. I can't wait to hear this. Yes, go ahead.
I actually set up a keyboard shortcut for just one simple letter that will send out a simple text automatically, but even more so using the automation that's built into iOS. I have texts that go out at certain times of the day, so it appears as if I sent the text. Thankfully, she's not watching right now, so she won't know about it. But that's how those messages go out.
Is this on your phone?
Something like that. What's
that?
This
is on your phone?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a tutorial. We're going to have to set that up later so you can figure out, that's a great idea.
But the point is just the embracing of that, whether it's something like Google Ads, using the smart bidding, we've got a philosophy internally at Dealer Teamwork as well. We like to call it COPE, create once, publish everywhere, and in order to do that, moving away from that manual type of keystroking versus, leveraging smart tools. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, you forgot a couple. You talked about TikTok. You had a little intuition on TikTok. You talked about Google My Business. There was a few others out there that you kind of were really, really bullish on at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, there was. Let's start off with one that I actually missed. Okay. And I'll admit a whiff on this one. Voice search. I really thought voice search was going to be much, much bigger in the automotive space than it was, in my opinion. And I asked you this before, how many people out there are actually using their smart speakers to do anything related to their car? Now, maybe parts, maybe an oil change here or there, looking for a coupon maybe. But again, I would have to go out on a limb and say few and far between. A lot of people out there are touting, hey, you got to prepare your website and your content for, for those type of voice search discovery type of inquiries. Personally, I'm just not seeing it. If people are, convince me. I'd love to see otherwise. The other one I really was, and you mentioned it as well, in terms of I was really big on in the beginning of the year that I got a lot of flack for, was TikTok. I remember seeing that early on, just saying this is going to be huge. And then sure enough, look what happened. Everybody's on there. Originally, it was starting out for what? Everybody's sharing their dance moves and whatnot. But I found over the year, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching it now. I'm sure they're on there, and I'm sure they're doing something as it relates to their job, whether it's sales, training, coaching, service, whatever. I've seen a ton of them on there. Everybody's using that. It's just absolutely insane how large it is. And the other thing that I expect to see tacked on to continue that one, Tim, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing even wider and deeper reach with their ad solutions, because obviously, it's a huge platform. They've got the data now. They've got the users. They're eventually just going to start monetizing that even more. So I think that's a good opportunity as well. My biggest one last year that I'm doubling down even more on this year, and that's just standalone SEO. One of the biggest things that happened last year, I firmly believe, is that dealers just realized, hey, we don't need to pay as much for traffic. When everybody was locked down and shut down early on, traffic was still coming in. People were still sending in leads, and dealers had to respond to that. But the key here is, Tim, they realized that, hey, we're not paying for this traffic. Where is it coming from? How are we getting it? And I firmly believe that entire mindset is going to carry through this year, and dealers are really going to take notice to the amount of traffic that is coming through their organic channels. I really believe that. And we all know the deal. Organic traffic is usually the biggest segment, and that behaves the best. They stay longer, they bounce less, they convert more. So it's just a matter of being in tune with it, tracking that, and rebalancing, and essentially paying attention to the amount of money that's being spent on each wedge of the pie in that marketing mix. That's just smart business, in my opinion. We talked about automotive conferences being disrupted. I firmly believe that last year, and sure enough, that did happen. Again, I wasn't sure what the actual catalyst was going to be, but it did. And that leads into one of yours as well for this year. The whole movement changing away from physical conferences, and what we do, we started moving towards podcasts and video interviews and webinars, and just Zoom, after one after another. Everybody's numb to that. And so now what's happening? People are already flocking over to a brand new platform, and I'm sure most people have been on it or heard about it or waiting for an invite, and that's Clubhouse. Now it's a different format. My personal belief is, I think after last year and the way all of our mindsets have been changed, we're tired of the typical social media BS and the social media platform, that type of dynamic. And now we're seeing a changing of the guard in terms of the connections that we're able to make. It's a little bit more emotional, a little bit more personal. People behave differently in an audio format than they do, obviously, in a written format. And as you know, they're all real profiles. You have to use your real name. You have to use, you can put an avatar in. Most people are putting their faces in, and that changes the whole dynamic right there. People can't hide behind that. So again, it changes it. Plus, I love the fact that you can connect with, so-called celebrities or, real celebrities. I was in a room with Kevin Hart once. Now I'm listening to him. And yeah, you could listen to him on a podcast, but it's just the way that this was created.
Yeah, I really, my wife thinks I'm a little crazy because I was on Clubhouse. I know Keith Hightower, our brother, you're listening, and thank you for being so faithful to Tim Talks. We are probably, and please, the people that are on live every week, I know a lot of people, send this and post this, and our live numbers do vary. But first of all, I just want to say a huge thank you to those faithful that every week log in. And I think I saw Keith, you in a couple rooms that I was in last night, but I was in Clubhouse till 10:15 last night. And just, I'm passionate about making, our industry better. And I would argue that even though a lot of these guys and gals are my close friends that put these on, I think NADA might be in trouble unless it's in Vegas. I think that, everybody loves the Vegas trip, and it's a, Holly, and I don't know, do not quote me. I do not know if this is a fact, because Holly Ann, who's our marketing director, knows somebody at NADA. And if I'm misquoting, I apologize. So please don't take this as scripture. But we heard that there was less than 500 people that have signed up for the virtual NADA. Now, I don't know that that's true, but I will tell you, when you can go to a platform. So if you're listening here or re-listening on YouTube or maybe our website in the Tim Talk section at Car Now, I would encourage you, man, or lady, sorry, I said man, listen. The cool thing, like Eric said, I was in a room, with two of the guys from Shark Tank, and one of the girls, I can't remember the short-haired lady, not the younger one, but the other one. And they were in, I didn't have a conversation, the Grant Cardones of the world. It's crazy that you can go into a room and have these types of conversations. So we are looking at Tim Talks, just so you know, to continue to elevate. So whatever we do, we will notify you faithful Tim Talk listeners. We're probably going to create in the next couple of weeks a post. We'll reach out to you on how to get on that, just so more people can get on live, and more people, because I would love to. It's a little harder in settings like these to raise your hand, chat, pull you in, click your mic, versus just raise your hand, pull you up. So, I've learned a ton. I've had the opportunity to pour into people on Clubhouse. So I'm going to make the prediction. Go ahead. I'll do it right now. I'm going to make the prediction that NADA is going to have a tough time, unless it's in Vegas. Everybody knows car people love going to Vegas to party, right? They go for everything else. And that's proof by, hey, listen, NADA making a big push on, go to the show, go to the show, go to the show. And we've got less than 500 people. I believe the number was 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was 350 people. But it's usually what, Eric, 15 or 20,000?
Upwards of that, absolutely.
I mean, think about that. Think about that. So, when this information, especially with COVID, and yes, vaccines are coming, but our world has changed. And just like we as car dealers have learned, so proud of our industry, because we have overcome and adapted. I was listening to ESPN on the way here, and they played that segment from, I don't know, it was Rocky 93 or whatever, when Rocky says, the win, when you get pushed down, you got to get back up. That's what a fighter does. I mean, that's exactly what our auto industry did in March when COVID said bang. We said, no way, pal. We're going to figure this out. We're going to overcome and adapt. And we won. So it's good. So bring me more stuff. I mean, what's going on in your world? What do you want to bring? What are you predicting for 2021? What nuggets can you give our faithful that tune in every week and then post and repost that you see could be a benefit to them and their dealership?
Yeah, I think let's just touch back on the search side of things from an organic standpoint. There are some really, really cool things happening that Google's doing. Their machine, obviously, over the last several years, has gotten so much smarter. Okay, and they've got so many different enhancements to their algorithm that its ability to be able to not only understand the words forward, but now they can understand the words backwards and forwards. So little things like that. It changes the way that the website is looked at. It changes the way that we obviously create content. You can't necessarily optimize specifically for that. But what it comes down to is, are you at least do you at least have pages on your website that actually answer specific questions that people are asking? Because it just comes down to one simple thing: can Google actually find your site easier? And if you can say yes to that, based on just technical SEO, the audits, and just organizing your pages and getting rid of fluff pages, I like to call them dead end pages, where you just read a block of text. There's no links, there's no forms, there's no button to press, there's no phone number. What are you doing with that? That's digital brochureware, basically. Get rid of that crap, clean it up, or at least reorganize it and make it useful. And again, use your data. There's 4 simple things that Google's looking for, Tim, when it comes to a page or a website altogether. Is it loading properly? Is the navigation actually happening the way it should? Is it useful? Is it usable? And is the page interaction actually what they like? This is their words. Is it delightful? Is it, does it load properly? There's this thing coming. There's this thing called Core Web Vitals. Okay, and it gets really technical and complicated. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But the fact remains, they've got updates that they introduced last year. Some of them don't even go into effect until I believe it's this June. Okay, so imagine like this. I'm sure everybody's had this happen to them. You load a page, especially on your phone. As you're scrolling through, you find something that you're interested in. You go to tap it or click it. And what happens? The page shifts, okay? And that cumulative layout shift is what they call it, that just the way the page loads. When you go to click that button, if it's shifted on you, what happens? You wind up clicking on something else, and it takes you to another page. Now you're like, oh, great, I got to go back. And you try to find that, it loads differently again. Little things like that, they make a huge difference. And Google is actually looking at things like that. So very simply, Tim, what can you do to prepare? Just look at your site. It still kills me how dealers to this day don't even look at their mobile site and look and see, where do things land? How do you use it? Can I try it? Can I actually find what I'm looking for?
Hey, I want to drop a bomb and see that. I want to drop a bomb, and I'm going to ask you, there's a site that's been, based on a lot of things, and I'm not going to get into that, but there's a site that I am watching, quite frankly, that's downloaded on at least 2 of my computers. And it's a search engine, and that is called, and we didn't talk about this, so I'm hitting out of left field, and I'm going to do more investigation, but I want all of you to check out DuckDuckGo, not DuckDuckGoose, but DuckDuckGo. Just like when we were a kid, I've got it downloaded on a couple of my computers, just to see. It's very quick, it's very interactive, but that may be a very inexpensive alternative just to make sure that you're touching bases. Now, DuckDuckGo, if you don't know, their claim is they do not follow you like Google. Now, for the dealership, that's what you want. You want to check habits and so on, but I'm talking about just showing up in a search for your dealership or your dealership service department. What do you know? Because I'm using it. I've been using it for several months now, as of several people that I know. What do you know, if anything, that you can help us and the people listening about DuckDuckGo?
Well, it comes down to, again, just basic search engine principles. And why do people use any search engine? It's very simple. Again, it's just simply to answer a question, get the solution to that, and again, solve a problem. So either one of those 2 categories, it still falls back again to that core principle, Tim, in terms of, if you are going to create a page, one purpose, one topic type of approach, and just make sure it actually does solve it. Obviously, the greater benefits for a platform like DuckDuckGo, like you said, the privacy concerns and all of those other items that people are hot and bothered by, and they have proven so. My question for them all along for several years now has been, what is the actual business model to monetize it? Eventually, that has to come into play, and I'm sure they have something incorporated into that. But the fact remains, any search engine, if they're going to serve up content back to you, especially from an organic standpoint, it needs to still be relevant to that. And that's, again, any type of crawler is going to be based upon trying to at least deliver what you're looking for. Because if that doesn't happen, what's going to happen with your choice, Tim? You're going to go somewhere else you're going to use a different platform to essentially find what it is you're looking for. Right. So that's my take on it.
Can you give us something? I mean, obviously you have the privilege. I love my job. I love what we do. I love this business. I love automobiles, and I like being a student of them. And there's several stories that I can take with me, and maybe we should have prepped for this. So I'm just hitting you on the fly, but there's several stories that were powerful last year of success stories that, who's your Oscar winning dealerships, dealerships that stand out, that you partnered with, that maybe you tried something new, you and your team at Dealer Teamwork, you, Sean, Jason, somebody.
James, you keep calling him Jason.
Do what?
James Klaus.
Too much coffee, bro. Too much coffee. I apologize. And he's probably the nicest guy on the planet. Hopefully he's not watching this.
He's the nicest guy in the industry. I will give him that.
James is absolutely the nicest guy in the industry. Other than you, of course. No, he's a great guy. But what are some things, what are the Oscar winners dealerships? Maybe a quick, they did this, this, and this, and we had no idea that it was going to get that type of response. Can you give me maybe at least one of those that
I'll give you three real quick.
Okay.
Boom. Mohawk Honda, Scott Risley and Andy Guelcher, they just did an incredible job just with their changes. They made some changes to their website to respond to how people were using it. For years, what have we been saying? Make sure your site looks good on mobile. Well, which still holds true today. However, they realized, hey, more people are home. So what? We got to change the way our desktop experience looks. And that hasn't been a conversation for years. So little things like that, they simplified their navigation at one point down to just, I think it was like 3 or 4 links, just being, smart experiments like that. Another leader in the industry, CJ Romey out at Cool Chevrolet, he did a great job just from a leadership standpoint, literally didn't skip a beat, made sure his employees were taken care of, set up remote processes, had his delivery processes set up right in time, literally, overnight. It was stressful as heck for him, I'm sure, but just the response. And I think that's another example. Like you mentioned, the perseverance and tenacity that the industry has for somebody like, he's a great representative of that, and just the leadership qualities. Another great one is the Causeway Group in New Jersey, Joe Straffolino. Several brands under one rooftop, multiple rooftops, adopting obviously the digital retailing aspect. So many dealers moved into that, and just again being able to embrace the changes of the process, educating the staff, incorporating into their website, incorporating into their marketing, and making sure everything is consistent. So things like that, I think they quickly became the norm. So I think it's easy. Everybody knows somebody that, responded in one of those 3 examples that I just rattled off. But I think those are, they're wonderful examples as well. Like you said, that really are indicative of the type of industry that we have and the type of leaders and professionals that make up the industry. So that's my
that's you. In fact, the Mohawk, Scott there, in fact, we've been in multiple rooms together on Clubhouse, and multiple people other than Scott talking about what they have done. So there's 2 things that we've been talking about. And I think, Keith, you were in the room with me last night when we discussed it. They kind of run together. But something that I want to challenge you to do, if you're the CMO of your store or the general manager of your store, this has happened to me just a couple times this year. But the question was, why can't, obviously, there's no money exchanging back and forth from Eric and Sean's company and Carnow at all, but we have several, in fact, hundreds of mutual clients. And I brought this and it seemed to go over well. I wouldn't just give you a nugget this year. Moving forward, whether you're moving forward to change your experience, like we've talked about so much, I would encourage you, have your vendors on the same call. What I mean by that is if you have a dealer.com website or a Dealer Inspire website and you have call it trade pending or KBB, if you have us as your DR provider, and also you have a company like Eric's and Dealer Teamwork, I would encourage you. It helps you. We are here as vendors to serve you. And if you get any pushback, then maybe you don't have the right vendor. But in several cases, I was brought into a all hands on deck call. The CMO cast the vision. This is what we want to do. This is how we want our leads pushed, depending on it, and it doesn't matter if it's HTML or AD, none of that matters. But if there's going to be a problem, somebody raise your hand. Here is the storyboard of how we want it to look. And that way, I just want to highlight, that was one of the biggest nuggets that got the most, applause last night, was setting these things up, because too many times we set it up, and I know on our end, we've been guilty of this. Well, it's dealer.com. They haven't got back with us. Or, well, it's so-and-so, they need to get back with this. Or if we're integrating a deep integration, it's an AP, whatever it is. I want to highly encourage you, if you have the right vendors, they should want to get on the phone, listen, especially at the beginning of the year, and cast your vision for the year, put your partners together, allow them to collaborate, make sure that they can do everything that they say they can do, so we can all walk in lockstep. You would not disagree with that, correct, Eric?
Correct. I mean, the collaboration is so key right now. Everything's moving so quickly. Things are changing. Everybody's got some great ideas. Just embrace that collaboration. Nobody has complete ownership on all the good ideas. I can guarantee you, I've got a ton of bad ideas. And we put our heads together, we'll come up with some really, really good stuff. So it's just people have to get over their egos as well. I think that's a problem too. It's still a big issue in the industry. I think you'd agree, the fact that a lot of people are hesitant to collaborate just simply because of the fact that they think they might be threatened, by the person on the other end of the call. Don't be. Embrace it. It's only going to make everybody better, especially in this case. What's important? The dealer, the client.
100%. That, arrogance, insecurity, and pride are the three-headed dragon that will kill any innovation. Arrogance, insecurity, and pride, and they all stem from pride. So I'm not going to have an altar call here and go into a sermon, but I will tell you that I'm telling you, man, what a beautiful world it will be. If someone should write a song about that, I think they already did. But what a beautiful world it would be if no agendas as far as vendors. Let's just be honest. And we're beating up on vendors, and I think we can, because we are two vendors now, and I'm on the other side of the desk. But what a beautiful world it would be if we literally just put aside agendas and, oh my gosh, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Now, granted, if it's there's some things that are, across the line, as far as, a direct product, then obviously, you can't be silly there. But if, there should be no reason that I can't integrate. In fact, I know Sean reached out to Aaron Baldwin, our VP of Biz Dev and our product, and stay tuned because we're working on something, a very slick integration with Dealer Teamwork coming up because both Sean and Aaron said, you know what? Don't care if this is going to help our dealers. Let's make sure that we get it done. As we land the plane, Eric, I appreciate you and James and Sean so much. I can't believe I did that, and I love that guy. ADD is a horrible thing. But at least I get stuff done. Do you see what that happened? 3 squirrels in like 20 seconds. No, but let's land the plane really quick. And by the way, if you are listening, if you have any questions for Eric, you notice in the series of Tim Talks, I always put people on the line that are smarter than me. So I'm sure you don't want to ask me any questions, but if you have any questions, please reach out. Please chat in the text there or send some text in the chat there, and we'll be happy to answer your question real quick if you'd like. If not, this is the way. This is Eric's email. And then Dealer Teamwork. I have never had anyone, and I think this is the 41st episode of Tim Talks. We started, if you guys remember, way back in March in the beginning of COVID. We have never had anybody on here that we did not 100% feel comfortable with putting our stamp of approval on, because quite frankly, not only does their product work, because at the end of the day, it's about, are they good people? And, are they going to serve our dealers well? So Eric, any final thoughts as we land this plane?
No, I agree with your sentiments completely. We fully embrace and advocate. I'm a huge advocate for you guys. Your entire company as well. Love what you guys are doing. Play up the collaboration aspect of it. Get rid of the egos. Just learn from the lessons from last year. We all walked away with a lot. It changed a lot of us. Completely. In the way that we approach things. So just keep moving forward with that. And then I'll leave you with one last prediction as well. I think
There it is.
we are right about on the cusp of two huge things: used car dealers being prime acquisition targets. I think that's how you're going to see large dealer growth come about next year or this year. And then on top of that, we have to be prepared as an industry for what's about to happen with electric vehicles. It's bigger than I think a lot of people realize. Once you start reading about it, you're going to see, wow, this is insane what's about to come. Yeah, just real quick, GM alone, they got 30 EVs coming out in the next 5 years.
Yeah, and the next, in fact, there was some legislations, and we will never be, this isn't a political thing, but there was some legislation that was signed, and it might have been an executive order just in the last couple of days. And again, I'm talking, and I just heard, so I'm not educated on it, that President Biden was talking about a mandate on EV vehicles. Is that correct? Did you hear that?
I'm not sure specifically to the point you're talking about, but I know that it is an issue. I did read something. I believe that they said in California by the year 2035, there will be no more internal combustion engines sold, vehicles sold in California. Whether that lasts
Is that
by
2035? Is that what you said?
then. Yeah. So it's still
I'll
ways
probably be a
out.
walker by then. So, okay.
But again, there's so much change coming. Again, embrace the change. We've, think of it historically. We talked about how mobile was going to be big. We talked about how video was going to be big. We're going back 5-6 years ago. People were like, no, people aren't going to use their phones for that. No, they're not going to watch videos on their phone. No, they're not going to make videos at the dealership. Big data. I remember when big data was the big thing that everybody talked about at the conferences years ago. We had no idea how we were actually going to use that data. Well, that's all come into fruition. And so we go through these waves and these cycles. Know it's coming, embrace it, educate yourself, learn it, be a leader in it, and put it into process if it makes sense, obviously operationally, for your organization, whether you are a vendor or a dealer. It doesn't matter. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your ear to the ground. There's so many avenues like podcasts, like Clubhouse, reach out, find out, serve yourself. As we always say, clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. Clear eyes every single day. Let's review the game film. What did we do bad? What did we do? What can we do better? What did we knock out of the park? Enjoy the wins, man. Life is, especially since this happened to my pops back in November 17th, by the way. He's in a new rehab facility and he is making progress. Obviously, it's not fast enough for me. So again, thank you so much for reaching out over these last 2 months, all the thoughts and prayers. He is doing that. But that has told me that, man, life is too short, and that every single day I want to be a better daddy. I want to be a better husband. And man, I want to be a better leader and serve the people around me, because I want to leave you with this, something that is drilled in my brain, man. Every single day, we have all these magazines and everything on success. And we see the LinkedIn, especially in the car business, with the guys with the big rollies and the Ferraris and all this other stuff. I want to give you a little life hack, like Eric gave you a life hack with your text. Look, come in close to the camera. This is coming from my heart. Do not chase success. Chase significance. Be significant every day. Do you start your day being significant in someone's life? Let me tell you something. As we say in Kentucky, that dog will hunt, because you send out that encouraging text to that coworker. You love on somebody. You reach up. Man, let me tell you something. When you chase significance, ladies and gentlemen, write that down. When you chase significance, success is right behind. Man, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Love you. We'll see you soon. Be looking for us, and we'll be advertising where we're going to be next week. We'll talk to you soon.